My name's Mark and welcome to the 10 Acre Woods. So today I was going to do a animal feed routine, but with everything going on this morning, we got a bunch of snow, as you can see all around us. Me? Well, us. You're here too. So I decided to do a farm tour and touch base on the feeding as well. We had the snow and we had some visitors come by, and I'm the rental director at the local community club, so I had to take care of some business there. And then it's afternoon, and I wanted to make sure I got this video out this evening. So we're going to start off the animal tour. So before I go in, I just wanted to go over everything out here. You can see way down there. So that is our hay barn. So that's where we store all of our hay and our van. This area here is actually a barbecue area for the summertime, but we bought a large tent. A large tarp to go over it to make it a tent. So this area here, and it's actually quite warm in here. So we've got our barbecue over here, which if we decide to do some barbecuing, we come out here, we store some extra items. It's always good to have a storage area. And then the fridge that's currently unplugged. So whenever people bring anything by for donations, they bring them into this little area here. Now this is actually an addition that was built onto the back of a trailer that was sitting here that probably came out to about this area here. And this porch was off onto the side of it. Now, when we sold the trailer and built the house and sold the trailer, we moved that little mudroom off to the side of it, and that's kind of the entranceway. Now the barn is kind of hidden back there. You can see the back end of it. So we're going to go in here, we're going to go into the building, and then we're going to go into the barn. So this is an area here with more storage, so it's always good to have some storage going on, lots of storage. This is the transition hay that we bring down from the barn to here. There's some extra feed and, of course, some extra supplies and tools and whatnot, and water feeders and all kinds of stuff, because you don't know, you don't want to throw anything away, but sometimes you do want to throw some stuff away. So this is our workshop area. So this is where we have a lot of our tools. Of course, not all of them, because they tend to get some moved into the house. Tara's done a crafting area in there. And then this area, of course, is another storage area with some tack over in the corner. Some grains, probably can't see that, some grains in bags that we get donated to us, which is wonderful. And these areas in here are the nursery, so we didn't have any chicks or ducklings last year. But we may this year, because I think there's some people looking for ducklings and chicks for the springtime. All right, so that's in here. This cage is empty. This was something Tara built. It was for the chinchillas, so a small animal enclosure there that we have. All right, moving along, we go into the main barn area. All right, so getting into the barn area, we have our water system here that has heat trace running in it, so it doesn't freeze. Tara has some grains fermenting here for the animals. And then this is just, again, more storage area for grains in these barrels down here. And then, of course, more over here. And more bags there. All right, now who do we have in here? We have Zeus. Hi, Zeus. Zeus is a Sarama rooster. And we got him and two other ones, plus Pegasus, that came in a little bit later. So, there were too many roosters in the hen house, wasn't there? So we got the excess roosters, and we tend to get quite a few roosters in. Yeah. Up here, there's, of course, more storage area, more bags of grain. We have this here, which is something called healthy straw, which we find works really well. It's packed into containers, like it's solid packed. And it's really good, and it's very absorbent. And then, of course, there's little Sheldon. What are you doing, buddy? You're just running around in circles. Are you itching for spring? Yes, so are we. We want spring to come again. And of course Fernando. So if you watched last week's video, you will have seen Fernando and Sheldon. Sheldon's just in his own little world. Aren't you? You want to come out? Okay. Come on out then. Come on out. Now some people have asked, why is Sheldon in the pen all alone? Well, Lucy tends to pick on him a little bit, so we've got him in there. So we just take special care. And the roosters tend to hang out with them. And there's also a rabbit that's somewhere in there. And what's funny is you can see Sheldon on this side is dark, and on the other side is light. Now, what was interesting there is one night, the rabbit was just chewing on his hair, just the, I guess, grooming him or something. And he was lying on one side and cleaned off all the little light tips off of his fur. Okay, so the peafowl pen. So these guys, we used to have a watering container that was in there, and it got so messy and it was tough to fill, and we want to streamline the whole process. So they've got grains in here that were fermented, and they've also got another furnace ducting that's in the wall cavity here that goes down, that just, it's kind of an automatic feeder. Now what we've done here is we've got these little trays that we picked up. Yes, Fernando, I see you. And we hung them on here. Now they do get a little bit of the straw on them because they flap around, and a lot of winged wind movement. So you do get some debris in there. But they're pretty easy to pull off and clean out every once in a while. But you can just pour the water right through the fence, and it makes it nice and easy. All right, so we have the peafowl, so Prince the peacock and his two girls down here, and then all the pigeons. Now people have asked, why don't you set some pigeons outside? Well, we will be. We've had some problems with crows in the past, but we're going to probably release about half of them. There are two that never made it back in. You see them flying around outside from now and again. Moving into the chickens and guinea area here. So again, they've got some fermenting food in there, and they've got this watering container, and then they've got their grains in here. Now, something I didn't mention over there, there's also some containers. Fernando's going to do the unveiling. There we go. So in here, so what this is these are oyster shells. So that's good for them to grind up their food because they don't have the dirt outside, and they'll just take it as they need it, as you can see there. And then next door to it here is kelp. So kelp is high in protein, and that's where they get their protein source from. So being outside in the summertime, they can eat bugs and whatnot, and this is basically their powdered bug formula, which is kelp, which is a seaweed. And then also in their grain, we also put in fish meal. So, oh, some running around. I see one that's got like a little naked butt there. So we'll have to do some investigation as to what's happening with that one. That one may have, Tara usually has a story for that. I'm like, well, what's happening with that one? Oh, it's because of this. Oh, I got it. Okay, so here is, oh, don't show that, it's the bath. We have a naked chicken in there. Are you having a bath? So this is ashes. So it's just, it's out of focus is what it is. It is, it's ashes just from the fireplace. So you can use DE, diatomaceous earth, but we just use fireplace ashes, and it works great. So what it does is they get in there and they fluff around, and they get those ashes underneath their wings and in their feathers. Is she gonna do it? No, she's just gonna sit there. And you've probably seen them outside in the dirt do that, and they just kind of fluff it all up and they make little holes. So what that does is it suffocates the parasites or the bugs that they can get. So it's very important to have a bath. And then we have Bronwyn. And Bronwyn still hasn't had her little lamb. Lamb or two lambs. I'm not even sure. We've never had lambs birth out here. So I'm not sure how many they actually have. So I imagine it's basically like goats. They'll probably have one or two. But she is just hanging out in here. So again, she has a little tray down here where we put her oats. And then she's got her salt lick, so she's got a couple different ones. She's got a cobalt, and she's got a trace mineral salt. So you got to make sure they have that. More important in the summertime because it can get they can get dehydrated, and the salt basically retains the water. Now, speaking of water, she has her little water dish in here. And this makes it easy. We've put the smaller dish in the larger one for spillage. And if it needs to be cleaned, we can just pull that out, and it's just a little container. Okay, we have the boy rabbit pen. So in here, they've got their hay over in the corner. They've got their feeder here. And they've got a little container over there, but they don't really spend too much time in it. They like to be out and running around. And of course, they've got a rooster, because everybody needs a rooster. So these are the boys, and they are separated from the girls. And they've just got a water dish that works very well. These dishes work good for, of course, larger dogs and for animals because it doesn't tip over. It's got a very sturdy base on it. Now, one thing I wanted to mention is, so I've got a camera up here, and this camera was actually donated to us along with some other equipment by another fellow YouTuber. So he's from southern Manitoba, and his channel's called Starpuss, and he works at a company called IC Computers in the city of Winnipeg. So I asked him about it. I was in there, and he said, "Oh, I got something for you. I got some old equipment." So what it's doing is it's shining out, and it's capturing, and I'll put up a shot here of the actual camera. And it's a very clear picture. So the other camera that we had up here, which is this other one I haven't taken down yet, just below it, it wasn't very clear. It was kind of grainy. I did a live stream in the spring with that one, and I wasn't really that happy. I guess I'm just a perfectionist. But I thank you, Curtis, for that equipment. I did put another one, well, this is an old one. I'm going to replace it with the newer one. So this one's disconnected. I'll run another one in here to get this pen for the spring. And we have a little bunny in here that's keeping Lucy and little Gimpy here entertained. So they hang out. So we got a goat, we got a chicken, and we got a rabbit. And they hang out together and keep each other company. Lucy, hi, do you know your name? What do you got on your head? You got some straw, some hay on your head. So again, areas up here, more storage, cages. So we get, these are the kind of things that we get donated. People are clearing out things, and they'll send us their old cages and whatnot. And we put them to use. This here is our incubator. So we didn't do any incubating last year. We may do some incubating, as I mentioned earlier, this year, or next year, because it's the 23rd today. But in the spring, we may do a batch. We're not quite sure yet. So this is our incubator. So it's a fair size, and I do have a video on that you can watch. Actually, I think there's 3 videos: operation, and cleaning, and it's a 264 egg incubator. And it actually works very well. So if you want more information on that, my video is actually better than the manufacturer video because I guess I'm that perfectionist, right? I want to make sure all the information's there. So I've got other cameras here. These ones are all disconnected. I'm going to have to spend some time, come out here and rewire all of them. But this is another pen that I want to capture as well. Okay, here we are outside. How's everybody doing? Is everybody just finishing up their brunch, their lunch? So here is, Carl, and about Carl's horn. So we had our farrier out, and she's actually a vet tech as well. And she checked that out. He actually snapped off the rest of it. So it didn't need to be cut off. Hey, Billy boy. And the concern there is apparently bleeding. So they can bleed pretty good from it. But he wasn't bleeding from there. The only thing the vet tech had mentioned was to spray it with some Blue Coat and to make sure that it healed up properly, but all is good. So that's him and Blackie hanging out there, and the new boy, Bobby. Hey, Bobby, are you eating? Now, he gets picked on a little bit by Patches. I think Patches just wants to put him in his place, make sure he knows what the chain of command is. But he's doing fantastic. He's doing great. So again, the story with him was there were 3 goats at a property. They didn't have any fencing, and they just kind of roamed. And he, his mates got gotten by a, what was it? It was coyotes, I believe it was. So they were concerned for him, so they contacted us and brought him out, and he is fixed. So he's that's why he's a little more docile, as you can see. Right, Tinker? Oh, who's scared of a little sheep? So we've got 4 sheep. We've got Tinker, and of course, yeah, then Carl comes along. Yeah, he's got to show his presence. So we've got 4 sheep. We have Tinker, we have Turbo, and we have Hannibal over there, and Lambert over in the corner there. And then we've got our alpacas. So Barry likes to hang out in this area right here. I do have another camera that is up right there. And I've been checking in on them, and Barry seems to really like it over in this area. Now, the pigs. I can see some movement in there. This area is where our pot-bellied pigs are. Hello. Oh, there you go. So Petey and Piper. So look at how cute they are. Oh, yes, they're so cute. Grumpy but cute. Now, what's funny is also watching on that camera, little Coco, our 1.5-year-old kid goat, she sleeps right on top of them. And if you watch our Facebook page, I've posted some pictures there. I might even posted some to Instagram as well. But it's the funniest thing. She just sits right there. And this is her cousin, Petunia. Petunia! Hey, what are you girls doing? Are you just eating? So they both tend to just sleep on the pigs. But Coco a little bit more so. It's a symbiotic relationship where they, I guess they share each other's heat. And then we've got Patches. Why is everybody looking at the wall? Patches! Patches! Hey! Patches! What are you doing? Oh, you're chewing your cud. You got to put all your energy into chewing your cud. So Patches, so she is probably one of our oldest goats here. I think she's about 6 years old. And then we have Shanzy. So of course Shanzy, Paula, and Marley, which was actually Marlene, we named when they came in, because we thought they were all girls. But when they got sheared, we soon found out that Marlene was actually Marley, a boy. And it's actually Paula's son, so offspring. So they tend to hang out and they tend to sleep over in this area here with a few of the goats. So the important thing is to have lots of room for the animals so they can have their own space, because of course they do like their own space just like humans. Now they came in, Tara was looking for a mate for Barry actually, and so we were looking for just one, and when she saw the condition of the 3 of them, she said, well, can we take them all? So we did. And of course I show up home from work, and we got 3 really hairy alpacas that hadn't been sheared in who knows how long. So they're looking good now. They're all cleaned up. And I think that's everybody in here. So, am I missing anybody? Well, there's Carl, Blackie, and Snow. Hi, Snow. Hi. Yes, the regal Snow. You're just so relaxed. And what's up with you, Blackie? What is it with black goats having hay on them? Lucy did the same thing. And then Carl. Now, we were thinking about putting Carl and Billy back up front because it can get a little bit hectic from time to time. They're a little pushy, especially towards me. You know, come out in the yard and they want to show, especially this boy here, Carl, shows some affection and gets right in there. And you've probably seen that in some of my other videos. So that is the inside area of the shelter that we just built this past spring. So it's given a lot of room for the animals. And it's given us the opportunity to bring a bunch of them all together, like the ponies. So the ponies were up front with Carl and Billy, and Marley actually, because Barry and Marley were fighting, and we wanted to separate them. But we brought them all back in here in the fall, and it's worked out very well. Now, the vet tech also mentioned that, I probably can't see it, Shadow, apparently Shadow has a wart on her nose. And apparently you're not supposed to do anything with it. You're not supposed to scrape it. You're not supposed to do anything. Oh, maybe right down on the bottom. Hey, here, look. Come here. No? But apparently she's got a little wart on her nose. You're not supposed to scrape it. You're not supposed to do anything to it. It will get worse before it gets better. But it needs to run its course, and the antibodies and immune system of the pony will take over, and it will eventually go away. So that's something very interesting. And then, of course, Willow. Hi, Willow. And that's the outside area. So they're just finishing up what we put out here. Again, giving them space. So we put some hay out here, and we put some hay inside in their feeders. And they've got their watering container here that has a heater in it to make sure that it remains drinkable. And there's the lighthouse covered with snow, and the pond, which is about 6 to 8 inches thick now. Tara had mentioned, well, why don't we shovel it off and use it as a skating rink? My concern of that, it sounds like a great idea, but these guys here, if they were to wander onto the ice, possibly slip, you know, they could do something to their legs. I figured, well, we've got a skating rink at the community club. Maybe let's just stick with that. All right, so let's go to the outside buildings with the ducks and the female rabbits and the geese. Now this area here is the outdoor rabbit run. So this is where the females are, and they've got their little shelters. This was actually the bottom of a bed frame. So there was drawers that actually went into the front of that, and it worked out well. So it's just, again, repurposing. Little tubes and little things they can run in. There is actually another tube. Actually, it doesn't look like it's in here. It might have been taken out. And then another little shelter. And they have a door that goes in right over there. Right in there. So this is just poly on the wall. So what we've done is we've... and finds really... we find it really well to keep maintain heat when it's sunny out. That sun hits here and brings in some warmth. Now this area is insulated. This was actually, hey guys, hi guys. This area here was started out as 2 buildings. So this was a rabbit pen. You can see the old pens that we have on the wall here. And this was actually the original rabbit pen that we had. But of course we soon found out we needed a boys and girl pen. So that's this in here. Excuse me. We'll get to you guys in a minute. I'm gonna go in and see the rabbits. Yes. Yes, and we've still got our little lion heads here. We got a couple of them. I would have thought they would have been adopted out one of the first ones, because they're kind of my favorite. They're just so cute and just bright, fluffy white, and they're not too bad for getting mats like Angoras are. So they're all just hanging out underneath there. And we have this little shelter here so they can dig in and go under there. So this hay in here is actually about 1 foot thick. And what they do, well, they eat it and they burrow through it. and just hang out. So they've got their grain food dish here, and then they have their regular rabbit feed that's in here. And then, of course, their water, same kind of idea. We've got it on the wall there, so we can just come up. We can actually just pour it in. If it needs to be cleaned out, we can do that. And here is the little outdoor door. So that's how they get outside. Alright, so the rabbit area, this door here goes out to the front area. So that's where the ponies, Carl and Marley and Billy, spend their time. So that's just an access door through there. Alright, so who do we have here? We have Hi and Guys. We've got, again, names. I'm not in the name mood. I know these guys because these guys are always around me. But they are male muscovies as well as these two are males. This one here is a female. And I think there's another one. Yes. So there's another female right there hanging out with the roosters. All the band of bros. So people have asked, how do you keep roosters in one area without fighting? Why are they being so calm? Well, there's no hens in here, so they have nothing to fight for, right, boys? You guys even know what hens are? So we call them the band of bros. So we often get quite a few roosters in because people just don't want them. So they hang out in the yard. Now getting to geese. So we have some Czech geese here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then over here with the little bumps, we have, they are Chinese geese. Jan, God, and Ard. And those are those three. We have some other ducks underneath here. Some other roosters and some other ducks down underneath here. So we have rowan, we have blue Swede cross, we have cayuga ducks, and they're all tucked in under there. So I think that's about it for these guys. Their watering systems. So again, ducks and geese, they'll just play in water. So you don't want to have water always available for them 24 hours a day. So what we do is there's a watering container here. There's a watering container here. And there's a watering container here. So what we do is in the morning, we bring out a couple jugs of water and we fill up all those containers. And they get all excited, and they go around, and it's just mad chaos. And then they'll play in it until it's, like you can see, that is completely dry now. So they'll just play in it until it's gone. And if you leave water in here, then they'll make a mess of it. Now the only ones that don't are the muscovies. We find that they actually don't play in the water, right? You guys are very well behaved. Yes, you're very well behaved, aren't you? Yeah. So they don't play in the water. But the geese and the ducks, they do. Right, buddy? Yeah. Now, something interesting about muscovies, they cannot handle below -10 temperatures. You want to make sure that they're off of the snow and out of the cold. So that's very important. They can actually develop frostbite on their feet because their feet actually don't work like other, like pekin ducks and rowan ducks. They don't work the same way. There's muscles that are in the leg here that can freeze. Now what happens with a pekin duck is the tendons go right up and the muscle is underneath the feathers. So it actually works in a remote control. So the muscles are protected from freezing, but unfortunately for the muscovies, they aren't protected. So they really do need to be off of that cold snow. So if you are planning on getting muscovies and you do live in a cold climate, just make sure that you have a building for them to go in during the winter time, because in the fall, that's when we get people contacting us saying, oh, can you take some muscovies? So we're just gonna head into the house, and I got one other animal to show you inside. And speaking of some inside animals, our dogs. We have two West Highland White Terriers and a Bernese Mountain Dog. And there was a video that a lot of people are watching right now. It was the summer animal feed. And there's been a few comments about the Toby, the look on Toby, which is the male Westie, the look on his face when I put the food in. And some people were saying, well, you know, that kibble is not very good for them. They are on a strict diet of it's a chicken and it's a lamb and rice mixture, because Westies do have allergies. But the reason why Toby was looking the way he did was because sometimes, a couple times during the week, we'll give him some farm fresh eggs for some added protein. We'll throw that on there. And I think when I poured that in, he was kind of looking, wondering, you know, am I getting the egg today? I should have actually done that, but we were heading out to feed, and it just didn't. Usually Tara's the one that does that. So with the yard outside here, the entire front is fenced in. So that's where the boys and the ponies go, and that is about 2 acres. We have a total of 10 acres here, of course, being the 10-acre woods, 9.91 acres. And the entire back area here is opened up right around the house to the buildings that we just came from. In this area, you're probably looking at another 6.5 acres back there. So this is currently accessible to them, but of course they were going back there. You can see some tracks in the snow there. They were going back there at one point, but I guess they figured, well, there's no grass out here. Even if we do head south, we're not going far enough. So I just made it back in the house, and here is one of the little puppies. Yes. This is Atlas. Oh, he's stretching. I don't know, the other two must be napping. I think Tara's having a nap, and they're probably napping as well. So he is a Bernese Mountain Dog, but that's not who I was going to show you. Oh, and one other thing here. This is what Tara made me for Christmas. So she's been getting pretty handy with glove making. And these are some slippers. So they're actually really warm. And she picks up the material at Value Village or discount stores. The old fur coats or faux fur or whatever you want to call them. She just buys them for $1 a jacket. They had a sale on. And she cuts them up and uses the material to repurpose them. So this is Dave. Hi, Dave. Hi, Dave. How are you? So Dave came in the other day. It was a family of 5. Hi. How you doing, buddy? And he is a 1.5-year-old guinea pig. Now, 5 people in the family, and as it turns out, 3 of them were allergic to Dave. So they were going to tough it out and just but it just kept on getting worse and worse. So unfortunately, you know, it does happen, and we get that happen with rabbits quite a bit. So this guy will be rehomed. Is he getting into his... They mentioned that if you... they call him Turbo Dave because he does little stunts like that. Are you in your little house? Hey, Turbo Dave? So, of course, I started talking to the animal, the guinea pig, and here are the other 2. So this is Maggie and Toby. Hi, kids. Yes. So another thing on Facebook. So we did get a message from a Deborah from, I think it's Beloit, Wisconsin. So she had contacted us saying that she wishes she could come and visit, but unfortunately, due to health issues and due to their age, they watch through through YouTube. So it makes us feel really happy to know that you know, we're putting smiles on people's faces, showing them something that they wouldn't necessarily see. But if you have an opportunity to get out to a farm in your local area, or hey, if you're in our neck of the woods here in southern Manitoba, feel free to get a hold of us and stop in and see the animals. We do have regular hours during the summer months. and during the winter, not so much, just because it's cold out and it's just not as fun. But of course, you know, if you're into animals and that's all you're worried about, well, I guess it's not an issue. Now it's the holiday season, so what I wanted to do is I wanted to go out and get the animals in the holiday spirit. So we'll head back out to the animal barn. Well, 'twas the night before Christmas when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas would soon be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama and her kerchief and I and my cap had just settled our brains for a long winter's nap. While out in the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprung from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of a new fallen snow gave the luster to midday objects below. When what to my wondering eyes would appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be St. Nick. More rapid than eagles of courses they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer, now Vixen. On Cupid, on Comet, on Donner, on Blitzen. To the top of the porch, to the top of the wall, now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As dry leaves before the wind hurricane fly, when they met with an obstacle mount to the sky. So up to the housetop the courses they flew, with the sleigh full of toys, and St. Nicholas too. And then in a twinkle I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each tiny hoof. I drew in my head and was turning around. Down the chimney St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed in all fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished in ashes and soot. A bundle of toys was flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes how they twinkled, his dimples how merry, his cheeks were like roses, his nose was like cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up like a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white just like snow. The stump of the pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bowl full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work, and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk. And laying his finger aside of his nose, he gave a nod up the chimney he rose. He sprung to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like a dawn of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, when he drove out of sight, "Happy Christmas to all, and to all a good night." Well, that's it for this video. I hope you certainly enjoyed it. These guys played along well with the nursery rhyme, the Christmas rhyme, Christmas poem. So I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season, and we'll see you probably next week. Possibly another video. Not sure. We'll see how things go over the holidays. There's a few exciting things that are coming up. Take care and have a wonderful week. Bye-bye. You too.